What is up, everybody? Spring has sprung. The birds are chirping and playing. It's gonna be a great day today. It's supposed to be like 75 degrees. And if all goes well, we're gonna test drive this hot rod today. Come on. I said come on a lot in the last video, so I'm gonna try and cut back even though I've said it twice now. I don't know. I'm feeling good today. Feeling mighty blessed. So hopefully that stays that way. I don't get my butt kicked by this thing. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm just getting my butt kicked. But let me show you what we gotta do before we can drive it. Last video I said you gotta get a choke hooked up. We did that. I had a couple nights this week where I got home from work. I had 30 minutes or an hour or whatever that I could tinker on this thing. So let's see. This is our choke here. I don't know. I wish this thing had a factory location for a choke, because that's actually where the air vent cable would have been. But we, you know, it'll work for now. We might look into doing something different in the carburetor intake area at some point. Maybe just do electric choke. Anyway, rambling about that. I think I fixed the brake leak. Luckily it was just I think it was just a loose fitting. I was able to get a pretty good little turn on it, so it doesn't seem to be leaking. And the only other thing we gotta look at is the alignment on this thing, because it's a little cross-eyed right now. So you can see these cars, it seems like the wheel sits far forward in the wheel well anyway. But you can see we have like no room there, and I've actually moved it some just so it wasn't like resting on the fender. So we gotta look at that. The toe is definitely off also. This thing's like, it's like a chameleon. The little eyes are pointed out. But yeah, we got a bunch of that stuff to figure out. I gotta figure out, we got a pair of new shocks to put on it, because we got the Bluetooth version in there right now. And yeah, we're gonna dive into this deal. The alignment's not gonna be perfect. I'm just gonna get it, I gotta get that wheel pushed back so we can turn, and I gotta get the toe close enough. So I'm gonna get this thing jacked up and get the wheels off, and I'll show you what adjustments I'm gonna make for the moment, and hopefully we can get this hot rod put together and driving. It seems to be running pretty good, so hopefully we drive it and we don't break down, because it is Wednesday and I don't have anyone to call if I break down on the side of the road. Everything's good. Okay, got the wheels off. I got her on the jack stands, and this is what we got. A mix of old and new, and all of it's dirty. Pretty much sums this car up. Anyway, the way this CPP kit works is it has, these are like eccentric washers, and those, the hole is not in the center of the washer, as you probably saw. So if you turn the bolt, it's actually going to shove the control arm in and out. I'm not a suspension expert, but I believe I can explain it reasonably. By adjusting the front and rear of the lower control arm, it's going to adjust the caster which is, it's going to change where the lower ball joint is in relation to the upper ball joint. So caster is going to be the spindle this way, and you really want the spindle leaned back at the top, I think. Obviously I don't have the equipment to check what that's going to end up like. So yeah, it's for right now, we're just going to get it where we can roll it around, and then at some point I will pay a professional to do it, but I'd like to put some miles on it, and kind of figure out all the little bugs before that, if I can. So what I'm gonna do is, which I've kind of already done it on this side, is by moving this bolt. Oh, where are you guys looking? Where are you looking at? By moving this bolt out to the front of the washer, I guess you would say, and moving this rear bolt, which is not where it should be, to the back towards the motor, that's going to push our ball joint center line as far back as possible, and that should move our wheel back, which will give us the clearance we need, in theory. And then we gotta figure out how the shock goes in, and the toe you have to do with the wheels and tires on and the weight on it. Kind of. You have to check it that way. But sometimes you can set it that way. So it's a whole thing. Okay, so I'm gonna get to work and try and get this knocked out where we can do something else. Hey, it's me again. We got this side kind of figured out. It fought me a little bit. Those eccentric washers have, like, the bolts have flat spots that index the washers, and one of them is just flat wore out. So it fought me a little bit, but we prevailed. I prevailed. One of my favorite bands. Anyway, the other thing that fought me, and I didn't really show it, maybe I should have, but whatever, was these shock, these doohickers that the top of the shock goes on. They use, hold on, let it adjust. They use these, I don't know what you want to call it, piece of garbage stud deals that are supposed to, they're like carriage bolts. Is that the right name? I don't know. Somebody tell me. They're supposed to index on this square groove, and they just don't. Once you get a little bit of tension off them, they just want to free spin. But I was able to, you just pry up on it with a screwdriver. I also soaked it in Croil, mostly because it smelled good, but also because it lubricated it. And just pried up on it with a screwdriver, hit it with an impact, kind of run it back and forth, and I was able to get them off. So I just got to put the shock back in that side. This is the passenger side after I've done all that. So you can see I put all new hardware on here just to help the threads go a little smoother. We got our new shock put in, and it goes in here, obviously. I did about 2 minutes of research before I started today on changing those shocks, just to see if there's any tricks I need to know. And what it told me was, you got to pull, the shocks have to go in through the bottom, you got to compress the springs, you got to do all this stupid funky stuff. I don't know why I said that. Maybe you do, I guess, but I just popped those towers off, and that passenger one, it dropped right in. Maybe with a stock control arm you can't access the nuts, but I doubt it. Yeah, so they just dropped in the top, bolted to that plate. I just got them loosely started to that plate, and then put that top, we'll call it a crown. Crown sounds kind of cool, right? Little crown piece on, and new hardware, cinched it all down. I did have to jack up on the lower control arm because without the shocking, it actually droops farther than the shock would allow. So just little stuff, nothing major, and it went in super easy that way. So don't ask me why it says to take the spring out and all that stuff online. In my opinion, that is completely unnecessary. But I'm gonna get that put in. We'll get put on the ground and look at the alignment, and we're getting pretty close to being able to drive this hot rod. I'm pretty excited about it. So hang on, I got more work to do.
Too much time at Earl's. Noah and Josie and all the boys better find themselves some girls. We're gonna pull back some cold ones and make a few new friends. We're gonna turn this into a rockin' joint again. Earl's was good as a greasy spoon. The chicken fried steak is so fine. Well, don't worry about them water bugs. They cross here all the time. Put E5 on that jukebox man to hear a rockabilly Haley song. Will somebody put a pot of coffee on so we can rock all night long?
Okay guys, this is the second outro to this video because my last one was depressing and sad, and I hated that I even just filmed it. This one's also going to be depressing and sad, but I'm going to try and keep my rambling about pitiful stuff to a minimum. I spent hours trying to figure this alignment out. Everything I do screws it up a little more than it was before. So, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to do. I hate to, I'm not, you know what they say, don't look a gifted mouse in the horse. Gifted mouse in the horse. What? Gifted horse in the mouth. Whatever. Pretend I didn't say that. I wish this car had factory suspension. I know this aftermarket stuff will be better once I get it sorted out. I know that the factory suspension sucks in these cars, but gosh dang, I wish I could get alignment on it. As you can see, after hours of work, I am no better off than I was when I started this morning. I've tried so many combinations of stuff. I've got a freaking eccentric washer screwed up on the other side so bad that I'm probably gonna have to buy a replacement. If I get enough room, if I get the max amount of room on the front edge, I end up with 2 inches of toe-in that I'm out of adjustment to get rid of. I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know. If somebody's got one of these CPP mini subframe kits, let me know if there's something I'm missing. Right now it's got all stock inner and outer tie rods and adjusters. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe there's some special one I'm supposed to have I don't have. But I can't get enough space for the wheel to turn and not have 2 inches of toe in on this thing, which I absolutely can't drive it like that. For right now, I can't even turn the wheel. So I was at the point where I was just gonna force it down the road because I want to drive this freaking thing so bad. I've been working my butt off on it, and I just need a little bit of inspiration. So I said, forget it. I'm gonna fire it up, let it warm up. I'll hammer the corner of that fender in. I can fix it later. I went to fire it up, and the floats are stuck. It fired up, it ran for a minute, and then wouldn't fire up, started smelling gas. Pulled the air cleaner off, floats, just pouring fuel out of them. Okay, that's a new problem, that's good. Beat on it with a hammer like you should. That didn't do anything. So I pulled the top of the carburetor off. I don't know if I showed that or not. Pulled the top of the carburetor off, which you guys have seen me do before. I'm looking at the float, trying to adjust it and figure out what's wrong with it, and maybe you can see my, oh yeah, we got a squirter. That float is junk. It'll never work with a hole in it. It's how floats don't float. It's more of a sinker than a floater at the moment. And the only thing I can do is order a used float off the internet, because parts for these things are just virtually non-existent, because I'm the only idiot that's still trying to run one. So I can't even force this thing down the road. It's just, it is what it is. Some days you're the grasshopper, and some days you're the shoe, or whatever. So today I'm the grasshopper. We still got a little bit done, I guess. I'm gonna call it here on this car. I need a brake. I may clean out the old truck, maybe go for a ride or something to try and make me feel a little better. So this video sucks, and I apologize for that. I finally had my last video do decent, and now I'm putting out a crappy video, which is not gonna help. But if you don't care, it's free. Just maybe hit a little like or share the videos. I guess that's a big deal. Tell somebody you know that I make crappy videos. Maybe they'll watch 2 or 3 minutes of it or something. Yeah. Thank you if you watched this video. I'm not giving up. It's just going to take a little longer and a little more work than I hoped.